Everyone to the hello guys, it's another episode of the advanced SFML series, and in this video we are going to we are actually going to fix a bug in our code. So you might have noticed this and you might not have noticed this because it's not like it's sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not so obvious. But the problem is, since whenever we end a contact, we are going to set our is grounded to false as we are doing currently. However, even if we are touching some other tile, so if for example I am touching this tile and then I enter this tile and I am still in this tile but I enter that, now I cannot jump. The reason I cannot jump is because it triggered the exit event from this tile on the left, and it did not, of course, I had entered this tile before, so it did not trigger any other event, and now it's basically has set it to false even though we were colliding with a tile already, and this is obviously not something that we want. Now how can we fix this? There are a bunch of ways you could go about this. One of the ways is to just instead of setting a boolean to this, so currently what we are doing, as you can see, is that in on begin contact we have got is grounded and we have got just set it to true, and on end contact we just set it to false. Now instead of doing that, imagine that we, instead of setting it to a boolean, set it to a size underscore t, and we set it to 0. And remember that you can use integers. This is an unsigned integer as booleans, and 0 just means it's false. And what we do is that we go ahead and say, when we begin a contact, then we are just going to say our is grounded, and we are going to essentially just increment it. So if we increment this, what would mean, what would it it will basically increase the whatever we have. So if we are under 2 tiles, it will automatically set it to 2, and what we can do on end contact, we are going to set it to is grounded, and we are going to subtract 1 from it. So if we had already entered a tile, then it's not going to cause any problems. So before doing this, so we will ensure just as a failsafe that is grounded is greater than 0, because we don't want it to be less than 0, as that would be problematic. And yeah, if it's greater than 0, then we'll subtract 1 from it, and that is essentially going to fix the problem for us. So what's going to happen is that we are going to like enter one tile, and it's going to set this to 1, and then we are going to enter another tile, it's going to set it to 2, and then we leave the first tile, it will still set it to 1, and that will still register this at true. Now that is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to actually not use events at all of begin contact and end contact, and instead of those use another system for doing this, which would involve you know having like basically going over all of the contacts of a body that you can get using contact list, and then determining that, but that can cause its own problems, and generally events would be better. So now what you should be able to see is that if I enter this, so if I go here, I jump up, and now I should not have any contacts, and I enter this, I can jump, of course, and if I move on to this, I can still jump, and it should be 2. But if I move on to here, now I can still jump. It does not cause that bug to occur anymore. So with that, we can say that we have successfully fixed this bug. But before we end this video, I have got another thing to do, which is that Mario should actually be facing whatever direction he is moving in. So what we are going to do is we are basically going to go bool, and we are going to call it facing left, because if it's facing left, then we want it to be negative, so set that to true. Actually not true by default, let's just set it to false, because we want no, we don't want to build right now. So yeah, let's just actually let me type this here. So let's just set that to false, and if facing left is false, then that means that we want to draw this using positive, and if it's no, so we are going to use a the question mark operator here. We are going to say facing left and then put a question mark, and if we are facing left, then we are going to use -2 for the, actually we are doing this wrong since this is the y-axis, we want to do this on x-axis. So if we are facing left, then we are going to do -1, and if we are not facing left, then we are going to do +1, and by default facing left will be false. Now of course this won't change anything until we actually change facing left, but in order to do that, what we can do is we can just go ahead and say if we can say velocity dot x is for example less than 0. So if it is less than 0, then what we are going to do is we are going to say facing left is equal to true. and else we are going to say else if velocity is greater than 0. The reason we are do this else if is because if we just use an else, then it will also trigger it when it's 0, but when it's 0 we just want Mario to stay the way he is and not just to change his location if he stops change his direction if he stops moving. So we are going to say 0 here, and you might want to say something like 0.05 or something, I don't know. Maybe because of floating point errors it might be better to use something like 0.02 here, because that would be, it might be better. So let's just set facing left to false if that's the case. Otherwise we'll leave facing left at whatever it is. That is, if it is 0 then we won't actually change it. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens, and it should hopefully cause Mario to face the direction he's moving in. So as you can see, by default, yes, Mario is actually facing left, and even though I'm pretty sure that yeah, I set this to false by default, and if it is less than 0 only then we should do this, but for some reason it seems like it's doing this even if nothing's happening. So okay, let's go ahead and first of all, just to see things a little better, I'm going to disable my debug drawing, just change this to 0 U for unsigned, so that we can kind of see the sprites better and we don't really care about the physics debug drawing yet. So let's go ahead and test that out. Actually there is a bit of a mistake here that I just noticed. We need to make this greater than, of course, and hopefully now we should have it working. So let's try that out, and yeah, you can see that Mario does fall down and he's facing left, and if I move right he is facing right, but then he suddenly starts facing left again. So yeah, you can see as soon as I stop he starts facing left. So why is that happening? And this should not happen. So the reason it's happening is because we are saying greater than 0.02. we need to actually make this negative, because that would just be wrong. It will only leave it as is if it is exactly 0.02. so we are going to make this negative. You can use just 0 by the way here instead of doing that. You can see Mario is facing right. If I move left, Mario is facing left, and wherever I move, Mario is always facing that direction, and any bugs with the jumping are fixed. Of course currently Mario is just kind of standing in a standing pose, and in the next video we are going to start implementing some animations and stuff so that Mario can kind of just move around a bit and do different kind of stuff, so he can run and jump and have animations for that, and that will all be really awesome. So we'll do that in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that. I'll see you in the next one, and share this video with other people as well, and bye.